To order. It's February 10th. This is the Planning Commission meeting. First item of business, there's a quorum. First item of business is the election of officers. I will take nominations for chair.
I'd like to nominate Jim. It's good to rotate these chairs. I was rotated out, and I think everybody should have their time. And he's been on the Planning Commission almost as long as Jeremy and I, so I'd like to put his name in the hat.
There's a nomination for Jim. Are there any other nominations?
Get abused.
Second call, are there any other nominations for chair? Third and final call.
I'll nominate Jeremy again. I don't know if I'll be able to be here forever.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good plan.
We have nominations for Jim Kleinschmidt as well as Jeremy Handler for vice or for chair. Anybody like to make a motion in regards to one of those?
We need a motion to, just a show of hands.
No, we'll need a motion to appoint one of those as a chair.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jim Kleinschmidt as chair.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Frank, second by Joe. To have Jim Kleinschmidt as the chair. All those in favor signify. Discussion?
Well, I think that both of you would be great at it. I do like the fact that Jeremy is here at all of the meetings. I think that's helpful. And I know that you get awfully busy sometimes, so that would be my only kind of hang up.
I think we all miss a couple, you know.
Some more than others.
Yeah. I think they're both real capable too, and I think they miss about the same amount. It's like a few years back, Jeremy came in, and I think it's good just to move it around a bit. Everybody gets a little experience then.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't need the extra responsibility. I got enough going on at work.
Okay.
It's become pretty tumultuous where I really don't know if I'll be here. If I'll be here all the time, or if I'll be here half the time, or what's going to happen. But it's not like when I used to work at night when they were understanding of this. Now we consolidated down to one shift. I don't think the level of understanding is quite there anymore. So I've had to give up some of my other positions. But I appreciate the nomination.
Then I'll withdraw that nomination. Jim doesn't want to do it.
Joe, is that all right with you as well?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, are there any, we got Jeremy as a nomination yet. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that Jeremy would continue being the president.
I'll second that.
So we've got a motion from Kara, seconded by Jerry, to have Jeremy Handler as the chair of the Planning Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll take nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Joel for vice chair.
I'd second that. Oh, wait, just to nominate more people. I jumped the gun, I apologize.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Frank, I think. You're here most of the time.
like I say, I served it before, I was vice chair for a while, chair. I will decline. I think Joe would do a good job.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Third and final call. We have a motion for the vice chair.
I'll make a motion for Joe Zek.
A second.
Motion by Frank, second by Jim, to have vice chair is Joe Check. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Secretary. I'll accept nominations for Secretary of the Planning Commission.
Who was the secretary?
Well, Joe was secretary.
Joe was.
Oh, Joey lost a job.
He upgraded.
Can you do both? Just kidding.
I make a motion, I nominate Jerry Knopfler.
I like that.
He's real organized.
He's a teacher.
We have a motion for Jerry, or excuse me, nomination for Jerry as secretary. Are there any other motions or any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for secretary? Third and final call. Is there a motion?
Make a motion. to
I second
approve
that.
Jerry.
Motion by Frank, second by Kara to nominate Jerry Knopfler as the secretary. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, everyone, and I will turn it over to Jeremy for the rest of the meeting.
We've got a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Jim and a second by Frank to adopt the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from January 13th. To the wish of the commission.
I second.
Got a motion by Jerry, second by,
Showing his book.
Sure.
Actually, I would like to take that back. Put it on C in my name. It's okay.
By Kara?
Just kidding.
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearings, proposed zoning property at 158th Street, annexation. With affidavit.
Yep, Darren, you got that correct? Yep. And the staff report that was presented for you here as well. Would you like me to go through that?
We can, we'll open the public hearing at 6:38. Go ahead.
So this is for a road right away on 158th Street. This area, is currently, is at a road. The area around it is currently being used for it's farm to the north, some residential to the south, and of course connects to the industrial park area. The reason why we're here is this is being annexed into the city. Section 1103 Part F talks about annexation and requiring the public hearing prior to it being zoned into the so required area to be designated. So the Planning Commission has the opportunity here to review this. And I have a few comments here, 1 through 4. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as medium density residential, but the current use of the property surrounding it is single-family residential, agricultural, and then industrial. The zoning map, as you see in the map here in the report, is all industrial all the way around it, as in city limits. So I think that makes the most sense to be in this area. Are there any questions on that?
Side note, I will add to it that currently the south portion of that road, the road goes east and west, but the south half of it is in the city limits. We're annexing the north portion of it because we share that road currently with Little Falls Belgrade Township. And so we're annexing the north portion so that we have the full road authority over that stretch of road. No property would be brought into it, it's simply the right of way that's being brought in. But wanted to put that out there, it's basically the north half of that stretch that we're looking at annexing into the city.
So have we, and do we need to talk to the farmer? Did he?
I've reached out to both, there's actually two landowners on the north. One owns basically that strip of trees that's on the far west side of the non-shaded area. And then also the farmer, I've spoke with them just to kind of let them know what's going on. And they were both fine with that. And then they've also met with Belgrade Township. They've had a hearing out there as well for the orderly annexation, and they're okay with the annexation as well.
And they also received the notice.
Okay.
Any other questions? We now open up for public comment. Anyone from the public wish to speak?
Yes, I'd like to ask, was this a staff requested change, annexation? Or did Barrett Pet Food ask for
I
this?
don't know that answer. I'm assuming it's staff requested, but I don't know. I didn't request it. It was approached to us that this parcel would be, or that stretch would be requested to be annexed in. So I don't know who requested it. I don't know that answer.
What's the cost to the taxpayers to do this?
To annex it in?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, other than hold the public hearing.
What's the reason to annex it?
I don't know that answer. Like I said, the request came to us that this was going to be part of the planning commission, so I don't know the history behind it. Other than it was a request that we annex that stretch into the city.
If it's annexed, does it make it easier then to get it blacktopped?
It would make it easier in terms of cost sharing, because right now half of it's township, half of it's city, and so that makes it much more difficult in terms of how to do anything with that stretch.
And if it's blacktop, does the city then pay all the cost of the blacktopping, since the city would own that road then?
With all city roads, the city decides how to fund those stretches of roads, correct?
Okay. There wouldn't be any reason other than the Barrett expansion for this annexation, it would appear. But because Airborne doesn't use that road, their staff doesn't go out that road very much. The school might a little bit, mid-state education. And maybe some of the future businesses might exit out that way, but it would mainly be the Barrett big 18-wheelers going out of there, so.
I have also heard that with Airborne, they have issues with the dust coming through there because of their equipment that they have for the product that they provide.
Oh,
The
yeah.
dust has started to become an issue with them as well. So that was one other reason to,
The fairgrounds uses it too.
the fairgrounds use it a lot, yeah.
All the construction trailers come in with all the animals back there.
Right,
And
but
it's
this,
no different than any other city road. It'd be beneficial to keep the 18-wheelers out and go back and forth in front of Walmart if they're going to our industrial park. It'd be nice to have a back entrance.
And that's where the sign is at, I don't even remember what county road that is.
That's Hawthorne.
Yeah.
but the annexation is a separate issue from blacktopping later, correct?
Correct.
If the city wants to blacktop that, does that fall under then road improvements, and there would have to be a public hearing on it as well?
Depends on how it is paid for.
Well, how else would it get paid for other than by the city?
It depends if it's chapter 429 assessments or if it's not. I mean, if the city decides to do some other funding source, it wouldn't necessarily have to go through, a public hearing process in order to do that.
Okay, I'm I'm confused, but I guess I'll learn how that happens later if that's the way it's gonna happen. Okay, that's my only comment. I think if businesses are requesting this, that would have been nice if they would have been here. Like I hear this when I've attended many meetings, that when someone requests an annexation, for instance, the property that's to the east side of the Assembly of God Church out there, they're asking to be annexed in too. And those people will likely be here. And I don't understand why
Well, if it's their property, I would see the way they'd want to be here if their property's getting annexed. This is a road right away that's getting annexed. Nobody really owns the property, it's part of the road.
right, but
So
right now the
township
public,
is probably gonna, why would the township care if we want to take over the road?
right. But it would be nice for the public to know who requested this annexation. That's my
Well, obviously,
thinking.
City of Little Falls did.
Well, he just said it's not a staff request. He didn't make the request, so.
It wasn't my request. I don't know if somebody else within the organization made that request. But it wasn't myself, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that answer.
Okay, that's all my questions for now then.
Any other public input? Third and final call, any other public input? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:46. It's the wish of the commission. Motion for discussion?
I motion to make it to discuss.
Motion to approve, to discuss?
To approve.
Well,
You
should
have
we
to make a
discuss
motion.
first?
You gotta move to approve.
Yeah, right.
Discuss on
Second discussion.
that.
Okay, well, I make a motion to approve. It makes sense to me.
Second.
A motion by Kara, motion by, second by Jim.
Is this to approve it as
Discussion?
industrial?
Yes.
I'm kind of in agreement with Robin on this. I'd like to know at least who requested this. I mean, there's nothing really to hide there. It would be nice if that was there. Then my second question, if you do put a road through there, who's assessed? I know on the side that faces the city portion, I know where the assessment goes there, but when you're dealing with townships and stuff like that, who pays for the other half of the cost?
That makes it much more difficult in terms of assessments, because you can't assess outside the city, but you can assess it, and then it basically sits there until it comes into the city. So it's a challenge to do those type of projects.
Yeah, because, you know, if the road, like, per se, we do vote next year or try to, we have a public hearing to put that road through there, and the cost, at this point, looks like we pay for the whole thing, which could be very expensive. But it would be nice if that was all clear and cut and dry, you know.
There's already the road there, right?
It's gravel road,
It's a gravel road. So we're taking whole control over the road to do as the city wishes without having to fight with the township over what we're gonna do with the road.
Kind of like
Essentially.
13th Street Northwest.
Yeah, kind of like the one over by Pine Grove Park where it's half township and half city, and it's a giant fight because it needs to be improved, but nobody wants to pay for it.
Right.
So we're just gonna take total control over it. So if it needs to be approved, there's no other obstacles to face other than what the city already has.
And at
So
that
it's not
time,
gonna be a new road.
well, at that time, if it is paved, we have to be under the understanding it's our road, we're gonna pay the whole cost.
The council would
That's the council
would
decision.
decide how
Yeah.
to pay for it, whether it's assessments, whether it's, you know, some other funding source.
Yeah.
At that point, the council would decide how to pay for it, yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other discussion? Carrie, do you have any other concerns?
No, I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, it's an industrial area and we have different companies saying
Was-
that it's affecting them, so.
It's one way. It's only 2 roads that feed the place.
Right. It's not unheard of that we would do something like this. It's not.
Surprised they made it this far.
Right.
Right.
Surprised they made it through initial annexation road. coming in.
Any other discussion?
Just out of curiosity, Greg, do you know if Hawthorne's half and half, or if that's all in?
It would be half and half.
It's half and
Yeah,
half still?
where it busts the city and the townships would be half and half.
Okay.
But that's a county road, so we don't maintain that one.
Oh, so that's not gonna matter either way?
Correct.
It's an actual county road?
Correct.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Nothing on old business, new business. City of Little Falls 88 transition plan.
So I'll take that one. So before this evening, we have a public informational meeting in regards to the city's 88 transition plan. This plan is intended to basically highlight deficiencies that the city may have within the road right of way and how we can take steps to improve that. We're looking for the public's input on areas where they see challenges currently, and so that we can try to prioritize what areas we look at first, because obviously financial, there's going to be a burden, and we've got to be able to try to fit that within our budgets to make those improvements. We want to make sure that the stuff that we do is priority, going to make the most bang for your buck, if you will. So a couple of things that I wanted to point out. If you look on page 3 of your packet or the transition plan, there's roughly a little over 25 miles worth of sidewalk within the city right now, over 550 curb ramps within the city. We do have trails, both city trails, DNR trails, and Morrison County trails, and then there are traffic signals that are owned by MnDOT or controlled in terms of the timing, but we still obviously have a cost share in terms of the function of those signals as well. We have done some improvements as of late. As you know, the requirements are constantly changing. I think the last one was in 2015 for the change as far as ADA requirements. But for the improvements that we've done thus far, we've got the Camp Berkeley Veterans Trail on the west side on Limburg Drive. That's been an improvement. Trunk Highway 27, we did ADA improvements with that project as well. 3rd Street Northeast, north of 27, 3rd Avenue Northeast, we've done those improvements. 7th Street and 8th Street Southeast, when we did those projects, those also included ADA requirements or updates. And then looking into the future, with our current capital improvement plan, we'll be doing some improvements, ADA improvements with that as well. And these are kind of fluid because it all depends on when we get funding available for these various projects and what comes up. But right now we're looking at in 2021, we're looking at 3rd Street Southeast from 1st Avenue to 3rd Avenue, 6th and 7th Avenue Southeast, basically from 1st Street to the west over to Highland.
Travis, the notes, or you're just telling us?
Sorry, that's on page 9.
Thank you.
And then we're also looking at 3rd Avenue Southeast between 3rd and 4th Street. And some of these improvements are, in preparation of future projects that are coming up. The projects highlighted in year 22 and 2023, those may flip depending on when the 4th Street project is actually a county project. They'll be doing the surfacing, we'll be doing the underground. And so depending on when that funding comes available is when we'll do that project. But right now, it's listed as 4th Street being in 2023, from Trunk Highway 27 all the way south to Highway 10. And then 3rd Street Southeast from 3rd Avenue to 8th Avenue would be in 2022. And those could move around a little bit, again, depending on when their funding becomes available would dictate when we would do that project. And then looking at, in 2024 and 2025, 18th Street Southeast, that extension would likely come in. Not sure if it's going to be in 24 or if it's going to be in 25, depending on when we get some funding for that. But that's essentially from the old Walmart going south to 133rd Street, I think it's called, on the south there, where the county just pushed that new road through. So that'll be coming up. And then we'll also be looking at doing 4th Street Northeast shortly thereafter, basically going from 27 north from there. We will be doing potentially some ADA improvements. We did get some Safe Routes to School funding to do some work along 9th Street Northeast and then Pine Avenue. And then annually, we do our sidewalk inspection and rehabilitation, so those will be ongoing as well. That's kind of the transition plan in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of text in there, but you'll notice the meat and potatoes of this transition plan is kind of still open because we want to get the public's input in terms of what they see for areas that we need to improve on.
That's cool.
So with that, turn it over to the planning commission. I'll write down on a sticky note where they see areas and probably even get some public input in terms of what they see there.
Anybody have any questions before I open up for public input?
So we know of some sidewalks that aren't doing so well, and we need to make sure and let you know that.
Talk to me.
Got it?
Robin? I'm sure you're here for this tonight.
Yeah, you bet I am.
Can
First, before I get started with my notes here, I want to ask if anybody here, including you, Greg, has a copy of this.
What is it?
This is the American Disabilities Act update, a primer for state and local governments. I would be happy to share one of my copies with you guys.
Maybe you did
you
send,
give it to staff?
yeah. You did send a copy of that via email, I believe, correct?
No.
Just,
No.
okay.
In there, you can read that there are an awful lot of folks in our country who have disabilities. On the first page of that document, it says, sorry, I'm not having a hard time turning the page here. It says that more than 55 million Americans, 18% of our population, have disabilities, and they, like all Americans, participate in a variety of programs, services, and activities provided by their state and local governments. This includes many people who became disabled while serving in the military, and by the year 2030, approximately 71.5 million baby boomers will be over age 65 and will need services and surroundings that meet their age-related physical needs. We have a city that has a huge population here of veterans, as well as, I think, in fact, our county is the largest county that has the most veterans in all of Minnesota. And our city is an aging city with a lot of people who are really getting up there in age. And I have a lot of concerns with that there's nobody here tonight. Not one person here except myself. So on behalf of all of the disabled people that live in this city, I'm going to give this my best shot. And I'm filming live for Facebook, so I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to put this in the meantime here where it doesn't fall.